Afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Northwest Native Tracker, where we examine fresh Bigfoot ground spore and native lore perspective of it. So this is where I did my live last Friday. There's a new stick and some foliage disturbance there, and what was a lay spot last week is now just a sit spot. A bit of an upward trail there, looks like ground trail up. Now right there is the peekaboo hole in that hollow bush. That's where I got growled at from. Alright, so let me explain to you this particular cross-through trail. So there's this sit evidence. There is a little bit of trail there. There's a tiny bit of trail there. There is no way in or out, I don't believe, to this particular sit unless you're in the back side of it. So what I hear is cross through steps in the pool down there. Usually I'll hear 3 or 4, maybe 5 as they're wading up out of the pond. And it's bipedal. Splash, 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 splash. And I'll hear them come up the tunnel system along this hillside. That's actually another hollow bush there. Another hollow arch bush behind it. And the tunnel system comes up into this hollow bush. So that's where he was sitting when he was growling at me. So this is the sort of thing I was taught to identify. Because if you're foraging, you're living in an area like this and surviving day to day, you have to be aware of the predators, whether or not this thing is a predator. So, you got to rule out your bears, you got to rule out your cougars, you got to rule out any kind of bigger herd animal that might stomp you to death, like a moose. You have to understand what the ground spore is and utilize it for your survivability in the area, which is what my turnout was about, was applying, not just the hand foraging. And there's it still has the stone marker. There's some more cross through there. That looks more like a muskrat, because there's also muskrat here. And then that's not a deer, that's too big. It's not a cougar, definitely not a muskrat. And there are snap sticks down here. Where the heck did I find the one? Oh, Karma, you broke it. So that little stick was a snap stick. But there's also a Nukana here. And this little trail here, which I didn't investigate last time. So this time I'm going to take you down a little bit. And you can tell this is, bipedal movement. Yeah. Looks like some asshole's been down here. Anyhow. Oh, a lot of hard pack mud. Animal movement. Sit. Another sit. So, when you're on your turnout, you have to be able to identify locations like this. And this is the back side of the bed. This is where that, the baby corral is over there. The baby place to lay here with a little bit of cover under that A-frame. This is the juveniles, playpen, and then where the parents would sleep. So when you're on your turnout, you have to be able to identify this kind of behavior. You have to make sure you rule out anything that you might think is a bear or natural occurrences, which this stuff is way too woven for it to be a natural occurrence. When you take a look at this stuff, and a bear isn't going to do this. So whatever does this has hands. So this is the kind of thing that you're taught to identify before you go on your turnout. And the reason is because your parents, if you're true native, traditional, like my mother, you don't want their kid going missing while they're learning to apply the, knowledge they were given. So yeah, there was a human in here too. Take that out with me, get rid of it. Oh, but it's got a dirt plug in it. Now that's interesting. Yeah, I find dirt plug bottles in Bigfoot areas a lot. Not quite sure why. I think they're trying to vent stuff. Some of them are booze hounds, I've noticed. So, I was sitting down in here when I was doing my live. And I don't think it caught the wading through the water sounds. I'm not sure it caught the crawling up the hillside. So this is back inside the little sit from the other side. So, juvenile corral, sleeping area, that arch to the sleeping area, where I got growled from. And this is where I was sitting, was here. Now there's some more old evidence back here of, things being woven together, laced, arched, and pinned. Now there's a good example right there. And it's pinned down on the other side. So, on your turnout, you're taught to identify these sorts of things. So when I was a kid, my mom would take me to locations like this. We might put our tent in that spot where, an adult pair would have slept, just so we could hear what was going on around us. This is part of my education. And, she'd show me how to find the hollow bushes. And then, show me how they're made. Some of them are quite unique, and I'll get into that behind my paywall. But this is the reason why I can identify this is because my mom used to camp us in places like this, for God's sakes. This was throughout the summer, traveling through the redwoods, Mom would find the locations that we historically knew about, and we would go camp in their areas, and she would explain to me the different things that we found, why the behavior was there, what they were doing. Were they making clay pots? Were they grinding pigments? Were they making nets? Were they doing any other kind of stone knapping, etc.? Tool making. She'd show me that sort of thing. She'd show me bed systems like this. And we would stay sometimes a week or two in places like this so I could be exposed to this particular type of cryptid. This one's bear person. Mom never exposed me to a bear person, but the property owner here let me know what was on it, and their family had had 3 generations of interactions with the bear people here before it became state-owned protected land. So I'm aware of what's here. But this kind of behavior, the ground bed, little simple sitting spots like this, is very common through a major variety of different kinds of cryptids. For instance, your 7 shoots beast of 7 shoots, is actually a mountain booger, from my understanding, from what my native lore tells me. They'll use a spot like this. So will bear people. So will the guanche. The guanche look like a patty. Now, more gorilla, humanoid. And then Oma also use bed system like this. They're the ones more like gentian, more chimpanzee looking in the face with a rounder head, not so high domed as the guanche. Both of those species are black. Both average 8 to 10 feet in height. Both have red eye shine. Be very aware of your eye shine in relation to species. It does not change. If you see one type of eye shine one night and another color another night, you have 2 different cryptids in the area, not one that has a mood shift. There are no animals that have mood shifting eyes except what? There's dietary. Reindeer, their eyes will shift throughout the season because of their enzymes and mineral intake over a course of a year, and they'll their eye shine will reflect that, but that's because of mineral differences, and that happens over several months, not one day. So be aware, you're dealing with more than one cryptid. And if it's yellow eye shine, you're dealing with a tengu, and you might mistake those guys for what you think is a dogman, or you might think it would be what most people are thinking is the snouted gugway. No, it's actually a completely different critter. So be aware, those eyes are really dangerous. Yellow eye shine, those are tengu. Get out of the way. They're man-eaters, they're cannibals. But go have your fun with them. Mom would show me locations like this. We'd camp in locations like this. I'd spend weeks at a time exploring locations like this. And related, desert locations are different. They live in a different way. Higher mountains, they live in a different way. It just depends on the terrain. But this is by and far a very common way for them to exist, especially throughout the Willamette Valley. So, the reason why I get the knocks, the taps, etc. is because I'm in the active area with them. I'm usually sitting in one of the cross-through trails, or sitting near a spot I know has frequent activity, like that hollow bush up there. Or I go to a spot where, people have told me, oh, I hear these funny sounds, I don't know what it is. I've hunted for years, and I have no idea what I'm hearing. Could you go tell me what you think? So I get a lot of that kind of reports. So if you have any kind of thing like that, tell me around the Lane, Lynn, or Douglas counties. We can do a more focused examination. But I'm very aware of the behavior because, this is my lifestyle as a child. To go be introduced to places like this and to learn what was there and be told the lore of the structures and what those structures meant. So that's the training of medicine people, or it was the training of medicine people, and it's definitely the training of a dog soldier, because you had to be able to. So a medicine person had to be able to identify and be able to gather their medicines in the same area. That's why they were trained to know about the marshland behavior, what we called a sweet camp. Grandma always called these a sweet camp. So a sweet camp is where a medicine person would go gather their herbs. So a medicine person would be trained how to identify what kind of cryptid was in the area. And then dog soldiers, because you're expected, if you're the last one to survive, the reason why our family became dog soldiers is because of the way we were being killed, down to the last person. So our family started training our men and women to be dog soldiers on top of medicine people, in particular women, because a woman can have babies. Pass that tradition on. We were taught to guard the material, the information, and to identify different kinds of situations. You have to identify what might eat you as a dog soldier, and you have to be able to interact with them. You have to be able to communicate and keep peace and record events. You have a social standing as a dog soldier within the Thunderbird communities. So that's kind of an expectation that you go into these areas, and it is your duty to do so, to learn and to keep the peace and know the way of your neighbor. So that's why I can do what I do, because I've always done it. So over this summer, I'm going to get more in depth. I'm going to show you, more direct evidence. This first year was trying to kind of give you a background, so you understand what I'm looking at. Now I'm going to try to flesh that in so that you understand how the basic ground spore can be extended into more informative areas of ground spore, so you can expand your knowledge, and you'll be able to identify different areas that are potentially more dangerous. These guys, they're not dangerous. The family that interacted with them used to trade with them. So they never had the bad issue. So anyway, if you are interested in helping me get on the road, please visit my GoFundMe, help me get a pop-up. You can do a search under Northwest Native Tracker, or you can do Fund Northwest, full word, Native Trackers, Bigfoot Expeditions, or you can find me on Patreon. Again, you can do a search, go to Patreon, do a search for NW Native Tracker. It'll pop my site up. I'm finally getting the links to work right, I think, so I'll be posting them more regularly. And I would love to get on the road and show you all 10 years. Because my mom took me to places all over Oregon, California, and Washington between the ages of 6 and 16. So yeah, I would like to be able to show you 10 years of information on our activities. Thank you, everybody. I hope you enjoy these longer posts with a little bit more definition as to how to put the ground spoor together with the bed evidence, along with when you can find an active cross-through trail, fresh evidence, and a potential location where they are day sitting. Now, this guy usually arrives between 2 and 4. But anyway, now you have a better idea of what you're going to be seeing this summer. Much more in-depth observations where I go further into detail with you. This is all of the stuff I was trained. Have a good day.